What is the difference between a boyfriend/girlfriend relationship and actually getting married other than the fact that you are legally recognized as a couple? For me, the difference was emotional and unexpected. We had been together 6 years at that point, and I saw the ceremony as more of a chance to celebrate an existing commitment and affirm a religious belief than to change anything. The ceremony was extremely moving. The gravity of the commitment and the certainty I felt and could feel from my spouse were extremely deep and meaningful and sacred. It was a very unique movement, and I was not expecting it. Everything in my heart and being cheered. Afterwards, everything just got easier. We've been married almost 4 years now, and no fight has ever really felt as urgent or intense since. It's just so obvious that we are a team and we will work it out. Why get stressed? It's a feeling of comfort and safety I believed I already had before we married. But I didn't even begin to know the type of comfort when your partner is your family. For others, they may not need a ceremony for that. For me, I unexpectedly did. I've never read anything in defense of marriage that was so compelling as this. Just beautiful. You can also get discounts on auto insurance. I believe it's the depth of commitment. Not to say that people who love each other and stay together 4 years aren't committed. But when you legally bind yourself to someone else, it makes it quite a bit harder to just walk away. It also means that you accept joint responsibility for your soul in a way that can legally and financially affect your life forever, even if the relationship falls apart. And while former BF/GFS can affect your life negatively after a breakup, former spouses can do it a whole lot worse. So, it's accepting the responsibility for and possibility of all consequences. That's a deep commitment. Imo. I have been battling myself with this question for a bit. NGL, I feel that I understand it better now, but then would you agree in the case a prenup is signed, in a sense marriage as a deep commitment suddenly isn't so deep? No. My husband and I have a prenup. We recognize that even though we love each other deeply and are fully committed to our relationship, we know that sometimes shit happens. We can't predict the future, so we try to protect ourselves and our assets pre-marriage by having a prenup. It's the smart thing to do. Marriage is not just a binding of hearts, souls, etc. It's a legal contract. Why wouldn't you protect yourself the same way you would in any other situation that involves a contract? A prenup also isn't just saying what each spouse can or can't have in the event of a divorce. It can protect you from outside events. Say, I get in a wreck, that's my fault, and the wrong party sues me. Because of the prenup, they may not be able to take everything my husband and I own. I would be the only one on the hook, so to speak. I'm not a lawyer and it's been a while since we signed, but that's one of the things I remember being explained to me. A prenup doesn't mean you don't love or trust someone enough. The world isn't always sunshine and roses. You need to be prepared for the rainy days. Before my partner died, we were together for 33 years and had 2 kids. When her friends used to harass her for not pressuring me to marry her or to show more commitment, she always used to say, I've known him since school. We share tons of debt and has given me 2 beautiful sons. What more commitment do I need? And I'll always love her for that. I'm sorry for your loss. Open bracket. Thanks, man. It's been nearly 5 years and I think about her every day. I don't think I'll ever find that level of commitment to another person, other than my boys, ever again. Recently married. Already. When we argue, it's different. Leaving isn't on the table. So escalating the fight is pointless. And we're quicker to refocus and figure out the problem we have. We're conscious of the fact that we're building something bigger than our individual happiness. And that frees us from the loneliness of being selfish. The loneliness of being selfish. That's really profound. Nothing changes. At least it didn't for me and my wife. Our relationship is just the same as it was before we was married, except one cool little thing. I get to call her my wife or the wife, which just feels nicer than the missus or my GF. Anything is better than fianc. I just hate that word and called him my boyfriend the whole time. I was the opposite. I hated calling him my boyfriend, so once we were engaged it was always fianc. Now I get to call him husband and feel super old and married, and I love it. Marriage is a commitment in a legal sense, but also a cultural sense. Nearly every human culture has some sort of wedding and marriage tradition with a couple's friends, family, community, and religion. You make a lifelong permanent commitment to another human being in front of everyone you know. Your family becomes their family and vice versa. Your social network recognizes and accepts the union. You can't just wake up one day and leave. You are tied to them and considered one unit. Edit. There's also the factor of obligation/responsibility. If one spouse gets sick, the other is obligated to care for them. If one loses their job, the other is responsible financially. You can't just walk away from a marriage when things get tough. It also protects the spouse if the other is sick. There are countless stories of same-sex partners who weren't able to be there with their partner because the hospital didn't recognize their relationship. If the partner died, the other could lose everything if they weren't a legally recognized spouse. I volunteer at a women's shelter, and so many women are left homeless because their boyfriends/baby daddies leave them with nothing. Marriage protects during the bad times. When we were boyfriend and girlfriend, the option to easily leave was always there, and it does change things to have that option go away, even when you want to be married. I was with my husband for several years before we got married, and the week we eloped, it was like someone flipped a switch in my brain and I just kept thinking, oh my god, we're stuck with each other forever. And I got very angsty and irritable with him for quite a while, because I think I had this idea in my head of how a husband should act, based on my dad, who is an excellent husband to my mom. And I was mad, because my own husband was different from that idea in my head. We had to have a lot of talks about how the entire dynamic of our relationship had shifted, and our expectations for each other in these new roles. I really was surprised by it, and so was he. We'd been together for so long that we didn't think marriage would change anything for us, but it definitely did. The first 6 months were kind of tough, but things improved as we continued to talk through it all. Now, we communicate better, have clearer expectations of each other, and are more committed than before with a much more stable relationship. Just as a counter to this, my wife and I had been together 8 years when we got married, and had lived together for 5. Our marriage was like a fun party and a reminder of our commitment, and we got to wear some fancy rings. Other than some legal things, literally nothing changed. We've been married 5 years now and still nothing has changed. I'm not saying this to invalidate Op's post, but to remind people that everyone is different and different couples will have different experiences. It was the first relationship in my life where I heard, I'm not going to walk away. I'm not going to leave when things get hard. I want to be with you. We've been together 20 years. We were engaged after 4 months, married at 6 months. And I do think the commitment makes us work harder when things are difficult, and we are stronger for it. So cute, gosh dang it. Well, let's see. You get in a car accident and you're unconscious and the doctor needs to cut one of your nuts off, or you'll only have a 25% chance of surviving. The doc can't get that permission off your girlfriend you've had for 3 weeks, but can from your wife. Your wife is your official family member, legally recognized next of kin, and breaking up and divorce are very different from each other. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.